Okay. Um, all right, so quick chazara, I guess, just of what the beginning of Aleph was. We said that if somebody, an employer hires an employee, and then somebody backs out, right? The employees don't show up, or the employer turns out Hitaka doesn't have work. So then they don't have there's no financial case there. So all they have is maybe hard feelings on each other. We spoke about if the guidelines for that in the Smeh, the Shach especially. First of all, we spoke about the fact that we were talking about that according to the Tur, the Smeh says that the implication of they only have a complaint means that as opposed to even being a mechusar amon, as opposed to even being considered an untrustworthy person, meaning if he has some sort of reason, it would seem that if he has no, if mamish has no reason, then everybody would hold he's a mechusar amon. The Tur, however, when it came to Einas Dvarim, he held that without a good reason is a mechusar amana, but with a good reason, it's not because, for example, the market changed or something like this. It's not considered a mechusar amana. So the same would apply here. The Tur and those who hold like him would hold that with a reason he's not a mechusar amana. And morning. You're muted, I think.
Sorry for the lateness, and appreciate the reminder.
Do you know if Rav Chazan is able to make
I
it?
think he just texted right now on the chat. It's something that just come up that he wasn't able to make it.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll have to try without the star of the show, but
Yeah, can we still wing it? I think so.
let's listen. We'll do our best.
You do fantastic always. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so that's Bekitzer is if there's no reason at all, he's a mechusar amana also. And if there is a reason, then according to the Tur and those who hold over there, that by metaltalin, if there's no reason, he's not a mechusar amana, it will be the same here. There's only tarumis and no mechusar amana. So the others will hold, those who held over there, that even with the reason he's a mechusar amana, they'll hold here also he's a mechusar amana. So then the question just is, so then how do they translate ein lohem al zeh elo tarumis? What do you mean then? There's only hard feelings. So this explains that. So to them that means as opposed to financial. So financial, there's only tarumis when it comes to the financial aspect of it. But a mechusar amana, you still have that problem. And as we said before, if there's a kinyan, so for sure you can't. There's no backing out. You got to pay the whole thing because you had a kinyan on it. And even though he doesn't talk about it, at least where we got to yet, but minastam, if he gave money and no kinyan, it'll be also like metalton that there'll be a mishapara and they'll give him the mishapara curse. But he's not well, I guess, and he's automatically also mechusar amana. Fine. The Shach spoke about. He's talking about understanding why the Smeh brings also, but the Tur brings that the reason is because of tircha, because of because it's a hassle, and yet we see by a ship, it doesn't talk about because of tircha, it talks about because of shinui das. And so the Shach himself holds that. What's the difference? The difference is that here we're talking about really they're the same thing. It just so happens here we're talking about before he began, and by a ship we're talking he's halfway through. So there's so over there it's Shini Das and here it's Tircha. The Nemuki Yosef brings that even if he started in our case, even if he started, he still says it's Mishum Tircha and not because of Shinui Das. So according to him, what's the why there it's Shinui Das and here is Tircha. So the Shach brings two possible answers to that. One of them that perhaps we can say that he holds like Rashi that the term and as well as the specific problem of Shinui Das has to do more with travel, and it doesn't apply to this case. It's a term and a situation that happens by travel and not by here. Alternatively, you could say that the Shach that the Nemuki Yosef here, when he says they started, it's not he's mamish settled in it, but he barely started. And there by a ship, he's mamish on the way, right? He's settled in already. So that's going to be the difference. In either case, jumping to the end of that shach, he says that it would seem that when there's mamish no tircha, then he doesn't even have tarumis on him. He doesn't even have a complaint on him. Meaning no tircha at all. Meaning you come to me, you're coming to work by me, and I tell you, oh, you know what, the thing that you came, whatever, you were going to power wash the thing. There was a storm last night that washed away the whole, or even not, to even say I have no reason at all. Stam, I decided not to do this work. But I already organized the same terms, the same type of work, the same everything next door by my neighbor. He needs the same thing, same day of work, everything. So then there's no tirch at all. So says the Shach, it would seem that everybody would agree with the Nemuki Yosef in such a case that there's not even tarumis on him. Then we spoke about what happens if he schleps he does meshicha, the balabas that Amos says, if he does meshicha on the tools. So then there are those that hold it's a kinyan, and you can't go back. Now, of course, that's a kablan, and the balabas can't go back, and a kablan can't go back. A schir yaim can go back. Why? Because that's a different story. Really, it's not that it wasn't a kinyan; it's really a good kinyan. Still, but a schir yaim can anyways quit anytime he wants, even with a good kinyan. So it's a taka a good kinyan according to that opinion. And it seems that this is the main. Says the Shach. This is the main opinion. And furthermore, says the Shach that even if he returned it to the worker, doesn't make a difference. The kinyan is a kinyan, just like a kinyan sudr. It's just you're using the item to make a kinyan. It's not. It doesn't make a difference if you're still in possession or not. It's still a good kinyan. Brings the Shach also. So what's the difference between this and we know from later that if a kablan goes back on it, he can go back on it. It's just yodei ala tachtaina. He has the lower hand, meaning that it's going to go by what remains completed to be done. Rather than like by a schir yaim, even if he breaks the whole arrangement and everything, he breaks the contract and leaves, it goes. You have to pay him for what he did rather than what remains to be done. And there's even a shaila of what if the balabas ended up finding another worker for cheap. There's a machlekes if he has to give the original worker the difference because he has to come out at the same 400. So he has to pay, and then I think that was in the Smeh mentions that opinion, and then the Shach says ma pisahim. where do we find he should get paid for work he didn't do? So how can he get profit? He didn't do the work. For the work he did, fine, he has the upper hand. We pay him. But for something he didn't do, he has no shaykhs to it. So no. But by Kablan, we know it's yodei ala tachtaina. So he says by a kinyan, it's even more than that. Because there by yodei ala tachtaina, if the employer was able to find somebody else to finish the job at the same price that was left over, he gets he's chayiv, he's mamish chayiv for the whole thing. You made a kinyan on a job, you're chayiv for the entire, you're chayiv to get the job finished. Then we said that he could even keep the tools to finish the job, the balabas, and that applies even to the schir yaim. Actually, you can go, but your tools have a mashkin. And furthermore, this answers the question that we had before of when we say that a kablan yodeh al tachtono, right? So let's say it costed let's say the kablan did half the work from the 400, but it costed the balabas 250 to complete it. The kablan only gets 150 because you fixed that the balabas ends up where he's supposed to be on the original contract amount. The question we had was, what if the deal is 400? You do half the work, but now it costs the balabas 500 for the rest of the work to get it done. Do you cap it at the 400 that we discussed or not? And the answer is, it depends if you have his tools or not. If you still have his tools, he can sell $100, 100 more of the tools to make up for the whole 500. If he doesn't have his tools, then he can't go seize them. He's capped at the 400. So now we continue in the Mechaber in the end of Siman, in the middle of Sif Aleph. But Medvarim Amurim, when do we say this? B'shlei holchu, when they didn't go, they didn't start going to the job. Avol holchu hachamarim v'lei matu tavua. But the donkey drivers, they went, they didn't find the produce that they were supposed to be transporting. Payalim umatzu sada kishehi lacha. The workers went and they found the field was already wet, so the field is wet, so there's nothing, they can't work it because it's wet. Oh, or alternatively, the workers went and they're supposed to water the field, and it turns out that it was filled with water. The river ran over its banks and watered it already, something like this. So then it depends. It's going to depend on whether the balabas was negligent or not. Meaning, just like we had by rental, right? By rental, we had that, like in a case where he's forced, right? Like let's say his son is getting married. That was the case that we brought. So if he knew about it and he could have told him, then it's his fault. If he didn't know about it and they couldn't tell him, then it's not. So it's similar here. If the balabas was, if he visited his work or his field or whatever the work was that needed to be done, if he visited it in the evening or the day before, at the end of the day before, and he found that it needs work, then the payalim have nothing on him. They have no complaint against him. Why? He did his due diligence. He went. It needed the work. All of a sudden, overnight, something changed. The produce got stolen. The field got watered. All these things. So he doesn't have to give them anything. What was he supposed to do? He did everything he could. But if he did not stop by to make sure that it was still necessary, then he gives them their pay, but not their full pay, like as if they did the work, but they give them the amount of a payil who is sitting there doing nothing. Meaning what a pay? It explains here peirush, meaning samin mi shehiskid atzmai lemalachazu. We estimate that a person who hired himself out to do this kind of work, the Cain, and so too, chamer shehiskir chamei lahavi masli. So too, the same, or if it's a donkey driver, then how much that he rented out. He's renting out the use of his donkey and himself to bring the transport the transport. Kama hayaretze livchis mischarei v'leishiv botov v'lavirekan. That how much would you accept? If you showed up and I said, listen, we agreed on this on such and such amount. How much would you agree to just sit here and not do any work? Not, there's no wear and tear on you, no wear and tear on your donkey, no on anything. I'll pay you to just sit here. How much would you take for that? So we estimate what's that amount, and then he only pays him that. That's the kipel bottle. She'enei deime haba ta'un lebarekon v'eitzim malach lebatel, because it's not the same, right? It's not the same exertion and it's not the same effort. It's not similar. Somebody who comes empty and full and some loaded, right? And somebody who comes loaded. That sounds like me. Or somebody who comes empty. That's what he's teaching here. Don't come empty. Come loaded. And it's not similar. A person who's getting paid. If I'm getting paid to do work versus I'm getting paid to sit there, I'll take less money to sit there. In fact, I do that. I take less money to sit there. not like per hour, but I actually make more money per hour. But I work less hours, davkis, so I should have like time for this kind of thing. But
so, so that you have time to sit there.
Yeah, so I can be a batlin. Right, just so I have time to sit there. Whatever, Taita's work also. It's the best work, but okay, so let's look in the Smeh, Gimel, Chamarim Shalei Matzu, the Chulu Ratzaleim Shapayil Haya Chamar Lahavilei, that the worker was a donkey driver. Lahavilei Tivua, who was supposed to bring him the produce. Halach Lei Matzah, and he went and didn't find the produce. And when we're talking about a worker that he went and he wanted to plow the field, and he went and found it was wet, so you can't. If it was like it's swamped, you can't plow it. It's not fitting to be plowed. And that it's a weird spelling of lahashkosei instead of lashkesei. Whatever, I guess it's the Smed doing his Aramaic little thing there. So same thing, like he came and his job was to water the field. He came and there's water already. It was already flooded. So there's no need to his work was neutralized. It doesn't need it.
Yeah, just a quick question. Just I don't know if it wouldn't be a diuk lahalacha anyway, but to irrigate, would that be? I'm just thinking grammatically, like hashkat. The difference between like spraying it with water,
I would say that hashkaisa includes irrigation, but lav dafka is meaning irrigation is part of hashkaisa, but lav dafka is hashkaisa only to irrigate. I think irrigation is a specific method of what I mean. There's different kinds of irrigation.
Right. No, if I would say, to water my plants in a general way, that would be lashkaise to water them.
I don't know back then if irrigation was their standard way of doing that or not, but irrigation would be included. Like I mean, it could like in other words, it could be any situation of watering and it was watered already. So let's say I remember the gardeners in L.A. Right? I remember we had, it's not like Pittsburgh where everything's muddy and swampy all the time anyway. You rarely see sprinklers in Pittsburgh. Here and there you see them. There's like there's 5 houses in the whole Squirrel Hill with sprinklers. But back in LA, everybody had sprinklers. And there was and the guy would come and he had like like that metal stick with and the end one goes like this. And he goes and sticks it and turns it, and the sprinklers pop up out of the ground and go. Remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So fine. So that would be lahashkaisei. So let's say the guy comes. Turns out it rained the whole night in LA. There's no point of it. It doesn't need to be sprinkled.
I guess that's what I was trying to say. Is that specifically the field?
No, there's no need.
For a lawn, you need sprinklers. For a field, much more often, and even until today, there are farms that you have an irrigation system. You basically have these, water beds that run like these mini creeks that can run through your farm.
Sometimes they have sprinklers also. But it's like a tube, like plastic.
Right, it's a hose, and then there's little holes every now and again to water thing.
The ones that drip irrigation. There's all kinds of but really it would be any kind of watering and lav dafka watering. He's just giving one example
tending to the
By-
field.
of a type of thing that the work could be eliminated by some natural happenstance, but it could be any sort of thing that happened to it, meaning that the balabas was not responsible for, that happened to the stuff. Somebody came and robbed and stole the tvua, you know.
Right. No, I guess that's what I'm saying. I guess whatever. I might be reaching here, blaming Medayik over nothing, but I think it's specifically you have an example of something where the job is usually to tend to this in this manner, where then there is a, like you said, a natural happenstance that can occur that can totally take the place
Right,
of
that the balabas would not have known about.
right, exactly.
Because
Meaning, usually I would need you. Usually, I would need you to irrigate the field, etc.
Here's my question would be: how about nowadays, where you open your phone, and I could have told you with 99% certainty that the field was going to be flooded or rained on or whatever,
Right.
and I didn't do anything to mention you or anything like that. It could be that is the balabas, but then again, maybe not, because maybe the worker himself should have known. Maybe he also have a phone. So that's a case where I'm more not sure how it would work. Like because now you're getting into a gray area. But like
So
let's say back then they didn't know when it was going to rain or whatever. They didn't know when the thing was going to overflow, and it's something that happens sometimes. But lav davka.
well, that's what speaks to specifically why I'm saying irrigation. Why I think there might be a diuk here, because this is exactly my point. Stam, even if I know it's going to rain, that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to give the right amount of water to all the plants equally to where they need to go, etc. It might be too much, it might be too little, etc.
In this case, it doesn't necessarily have to have. It might have
No,
flooded it, and in other words, it flooded it and destroyed
the
everything.
point
It's still the same
no,
case.
hold on. The point is that meaning I might know it's going to rain tomorrow, but I still might need you to come to make sure that the water disbursement goes around the farm equally, so that
That could be a different story.
And here, what we have though is that the rain rained in such a fashion that you weren't needed.
Right.
Dafka,
so that's where
I
those
really would not have known that.
cases,
Even nowadays, I wouldn't have known that.
Those kinds of cases is where taka a dayan is going to have to because the principle is simple. The principle is if the balabas should have known about this thing, or he had a way of checking it. For example, let's say it flooded 2 days ago.
I'm in a place where it's the rainy season. I know it's going to rain.
I'm not familiar with your field. I don't know if I don't know if the rain from yesterday over flooded your creek or not. I have no way of knowing that. You the balabas should it happened 3 days ago. You should have checked and let me know. Now, so you can get like so you're getting into very fine like types of things on this, and they're talking questions, and that's really where a Dayan's going to have to. Right, they're gonna come, and this guy's gonna taina. Oh, you should have known about it. And this guy's gonna taina. How should I have known about it? I didn't know it's gonna water it the right amount, and that's gonna be really where a Dayan's gonna have to figure out, like was this taka negligence on the part of the balabas or not? Yeah.
Well, I guess that's what I'm wondering if he's trying to stress that or not.
Well, I mean, the main thing he's trying to the main point here is wasn't negligence.
Right.
Did the balabas?
That's my point.
Should the balabas have known about this? If he should have known about this, then he should have let the pale know. And since he didn't, now you caused him to come here, and now you're gonna have to pay him like a pale bottle.
Right.
You had if the balabas really like had no way to know, then like he says here, so what was he supposed to do? What do you want from his life? He did his best. So that's really going to be the crux of the question before a dayan, I guess, would be: did the balabas do his due diligence? What did he do? Did he check in the way that we would have expected him to, or was he negligent and didn't care about, or he was didn't care about this guy's time? Well, okay, you were negligent and didn't care about this guy's time. Good, now you're going to pay for his time. He's not doing the work. Fine, but the cholafachis for as a pale bottle, you're going to pay him. In bikir balabayis melachti v'chulu, hayno sairuhu la'ara mu'rosa haniskir b'gemara. And that's what Bab Metzia, the base. Let's look up the exact wording.
I would look it up, but my eyes are.
This is why it's Yemei Mashiach, by the way, really.
What, you can just look up anything, anytime.
Nigle Chasidis, what's it called? What, I mean, like, not that I don't have above a Metzia about like 6 feet away from I actually do, but there's also a psachim and a yivamis and what's called next to it. Then I gotta what's it called and open it, and you know,
It's the difference is it's literally at your fingertips
yeah.
as opposed to on a shelf next to you.
I'm just looking to clarify one very specific thing.
Yeah, yeah. I want to apologize. I can't look at it. My eyes are. I just came back from a doctor appointment.
Oh, you got
dry up.
drops.
I could barely see you. Like you're blurry. Like
Yeah.
yeah.
No, that's actually how I look. Don't worry, you're good.
It's the blonde today. That's
Okay, let's see. Where's it? Irud Ara. Okay, that's still talking about the get. It's after that. I'm already getting to know this particular the Gemara. You know, from the last few.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Right around here, I believe. Here we go. Yeah, fine. That should be the next part, I think. Oh, so let me just go back to the part before. Right, Ika de Amri, say more Kamei, is those who say that the Tana was before this is what Rav was saying, that Chavivi Amar Ihava Ana Lo Havi Yahivna Li Klal. I would not give them anything yet, but you said it's labor loikash. It's not a question. How decided are urta? This is when he surveyed the ground from the day before. Like urta is like early in. How the loy side urta? Right. So what does it mean in Bikir Balabais Malachti? So in the Gemara, Hainus Siyuro La'ara Urta, that he visited his field the day before to check to make sure. Vatur lekasukan. The Tur did not write this because of Klola the Dina Malalu. The Tur did not specifically write about visiting the land or not. Meaning, I guess the Mechaber is taking the Imbikir Balabais Malachta Ba'erev. He's taking it straight from the Gemara because the Tur doesn't mention it, right? Because the Tur is just talking in general terms. Meaning, like we said before, that's a specific example if he visited the field or not. But the klal is much wider than that, and that's what the Tur is bringing. Is the lack of work? Are we faulting the balabas, or are we faulting the worker? Who's the guy who's at fault here? Lavdafka in this case faulting the worker, but it just automatically, if we're not faulting the balabas, then it falls automatically on the worker. Neisein lahem secharon. So then he has to give them their pay. This is smevov. Kivon the balabas pesheya, because the balabas is he's at fault. Right. So therefore, that's why he has to pay him. Because you're negligent. You should have told him. Va'alicha he he's chila b'melacha. And the going, when he started going, that's when the work. So why by going? Because when the work we say, like we said before, even though it's not going to work according to the Nimukei Yosef, because according to the Nimukei Yosef, we said even if he went a little bit, but I guess that's different because that's when there's nobody else to replace the work. This could be talking about here. Mikol Makim ain't about why so Mishum Hachi ain't about because once he started going, that's when the work starts. Once the work starts, now it's not the same as just right ainly all of elataromes, at least according to the Tur, right? Is going to be before he started Dafka. Or I guess according to the Mukhes, if we only started a little bit, but according to the Torah, not just if you actually started, but when does the starting start? It starts when he started going, so that's considered Imamish started working, and at that point, that's it. You're locked in. He started working already. The im chayzer, and if he goes back on it, tzarich l'shalem lahem kepayil batul, and if he goes back on it, he has to pay him like a payil batul. And by the way, I think this is different than the case that he made a kinyan. I think if he makes a kinyan, I think he has to mamish pay him the whole thing, not just like a pale bottle. Here he started working, so it's already, so it's like a kinyan, but I don't think it's as strong as a kinyan itself. Even though the worker does not have an actual monetary loss because of the balabas retracting, the av shelo yahaya seichron lo yahaya lametzel milis tagav v'chulu. Like for example, we're talking about a case where they didn't have any other work available at the time. V'chein kosa batur behedya, and so it writes in the Torah specifically b'shem Aruch. V'loike, who's Ein Shin. Let me see who's Ein Shin. Starting to wonder if I'm gonna have to put my phone into Seamus when I'm done with it. I don't know who it is. Ein Shin.
Ein Sham. Iker Shachach.
Like it's a certain it's the Rosh says one way. V'loike Ein Shin shekosav. It sounds like it's a person.
Right.
Or a sefer. Watch, it's gonna end up being like one of one of those obvious ones. Anyway, we'll come with. See, this is why we like to have Rav Chazan here. Shekosav, so not like the other guy who writes against the Rosh, who writes the chayiv mishum the garam lahem hezek. That writes that the reason he's chayiv here is because he caused a loss, he caused damages. She'im lo yaya seichron, who hayu nisron la'acherim v'chayiv medina de garmi. So that it's not like the one who writes it. The reason here is that they were talking about a case where they had other work available.
Found it. It's the Lavush. The Chela Conclusion Mishpat is called Ir Shushan.
Oh, Ir Shushan. Yeah, see, it was an obvious one. Yeah, see, Taka. Yeah, Kalek Ir Shushan, beautiful. And by the way, the Smeh Bichlal likes to what do you call it on the Ir Shushan?
To bring the Ir Shushan. I was just gonna say, I'm like, yeah, we held on a second. We've had this.
Ir Shushan usually shows up in the Smeh as Veloiki Ir Shushan.
He likes to bring him only to negate. Yeah. Say what we don't do. This is what we don't.
Yes.
Anyway.
Yes. The
So he does
Shushan
Yeshua.
is saying that what are we talking about here? We're talking about where they could have gotten other work had he not, and therefore it's a garmi. And the garmi is a level of indirect cause where you're chayiv. Right? וגם דבורב סייפים זה שבסעיף שבסעיף שאחר זה כוסף בהדיה שבהולכו חייב להם בעל הבית גם בכהי גוונה אין שם מדוק. And furthermore, even the Shushan, he contradicts himself because in his commentary on the next if he writes clear that if they went even though they didn't have other work, they're still chayiv. It's not because of they're chayiv because of garmi, but rather it's because the halicha is already considered the hascholas melacha, and it applies even if they did not have other work lined up. Kepel botol shenidayim v'chulu zayin losh natur. It's the wording of the Tur. Sham I bid. Samin misha hiskir atzmei lemelachazu v'chein chamash hiskir chameirei lahav yimasi kozeh. Kam ha'yaraitz alif mischar leish botol v'lav yireikon v'chein yinaklei mischari. So the same thing that was in the parentheses inside the mechaber over there. That we figure out how much such a person, how much would he is the normal amount he would accept to do this work, to not do this work, to just sit there and not do any work. Shach, okay, we already did Hey. Hey was the whole one we were talking about. That it was pointing out that in the Ramah, the Reish and the Sefer are talking about two different things. One has to do with kinyan, one has to do with keeping the tools, and the two different things, because like we see that if he held on to the tools by a kablan, he can sell them even if the amount surpasses the original agreement in order to complete the work, right? But when's that? Only when he's holding it. However, even if he gave them back, in which case he can't do so, but the kinyan still a kinyan. Because once you did the Mashiach, even if you give it back, it's still a good kinyan. That was, and then we so Shach Vav and Bike the Balabais Malachte Ayin le Kamon Simishlandav the base Mashkos of Sham. We'll see later what he writes in the next Siman. Neislahem Scharan, he gives them Shach Zayin, he gives them their pay Kivon the Balabais Pesheya. V'halicha he kishe ischila hamalacha, since the balabais it was his fault, he didn't go check first when he should have, and since furthermore going is the start of the work. Mishum hachi ein balabais yachal. Therefore, the balabais cannot go back; he cannot retract. If he does retract, and he has to pay. Then he has to pay them like a worker who sat and did nothing. Even though he's not taking a monetary law, a direct monetary loss, that even right, just like we just read in this mem, that we're talking about a case that even if he did not hire them, they would not have had. They would not have had Eitzel Mili Hishtaker. They wouldn't have Bayhut to make L'chaim. They wouldn't have Bayhut L'Hishtaker to. They didn't have another job available for them. Just like this Medrash brought. V'lo ikir Shushan shekosov the Chayv mishum degaram lahem hezek shim lo yaseichen hoyin iskaram lacherim, and not like the Shushan that this Medrash brought. That we're talking about a case where they did have other work and therefore he's causing them damages in a way of garmi. And this is not so. And also his words they contradict each other. Ad kan l'shein asmeh. Udvarav nechenim lidino. And the Shach adds that the smeh is correct. We paskin like him. Ach ein kan hasaga al Shushan. However, even so, there's no problem with the Shushan. So even though Taka, the smeh is correct that we must be talking about a case that he did not have other work lined up, and it's not because of din degarmi. Rather, it's because the balabas, it's his fault, and furthermore, the halicha begins the halacha, the malacha. So he began the malacha. He started going. However, it's still not a problem with the Irshushan. Shari kosva teis v'svarosh v'tur v'shar peiskim. The halchu urcha de milsa nakat. That they write that the fact that they went, this is just the normal way that it happens. The mistame kishalay halchu meitzin listakir. That mistame, had they not gone to this work, they probably could have found another job. But now they're going, so for sure they're not going to find another job. So the Ir Shushan is lav dafke wrong, even though Take, it's like this mess saying. But it's not, but the Ir Shushan is lav dafke wrong also. In Kain, Gama Ir Shushan, the Milsenakat. So also the Ir Shushan was talking about the normal way that it happens. The Kamash Malon. Fine. Kepeil Batal, says the Shach, is to pay him like an idle worker. Same thing as we saw already. That we figure out the how much a person would be willing to sit and not work. Base. Did we finish it? Yeah. No. Yeah, we did. Base. Is when do we say that they only have complaint? So we're saying that they only have terumis when, right? We just said when they didn't start going. If they started going, they can claim they can get paid like a pale bottle. If they didn't start going, then we said he owned ein lahem elo tarumis. But that's when davke b'shaloi hoyu yichelim lahaskir atzmam emesh. That they were talking about they were not the davke were not able to hire themselves out yesterday. When this one hired them. Now remember, there's a fine wording in the shach we just said, because the shach says that we can be so the other if we're talking about that right, we were clearly, like it says here, it's talking about that they did not have other work. But here we're talking about, right, and there we're talking about maybe they could have, maybe they wouldn't have. The Payal, they didn't have other work, but they could have maybe found other work, according to, let's say, the Ir Shushan. Here we're talking about they mamish. It's clear they would have had work. If we hadn't agreed to work for you, there was 5 other guys looking for workers right there. Aval ima uniskarim emes emes. I forget if it's asin or ashin for yesterday. And now they can't hire themselves out at all. Why? Because we agreed to come work for you. We've now lost those actual concrete job opportunities from yesterday. This is something that now is lost from them. And he must give them, even if they did not start going yet. They're still there. They didn't leave yet. They still get a pale bottle. Why? Because at the time that you hired them, they mamish had work available, and now because of you, they don't have work available. And if they can find a job, but it's a job for less, mishalim peches. So he has to pay how much it is less, the difference. And if they went, v'davka shaholchu atzmam avalei shluchim, davka if they themselves went, and not by with a sent a shliach. Afal pishal yehoyu meitzim lahaskir atzmam emesh. Even if they could not find work yesterday, nice lahem scharim kapel batal. He has to pay them like right. So if they he's really restating what he said in last sif partially, that if they left already, then even if they did not have work line, they could not, even if we don't know that they had work lined up for him yesterday, he still has to pay them like a pale batul. However, if they did not leave yet, so if they did not have work lined up, then nothing. But if they for sure, if they had work they could have lined up mamish yesterday, then even if they didn't start going, he has to pay them like a pale batul. Right, just which makes sense because we just said that if they find other work, then he has to pay them only the difference. So when do we say he has to pay them like a pale batul? When they can't find work now, right? Even let's say they could have found work yesterday. We're saying, oh, now because of you we lost the work, but it'll say, but you can find work now. So what's the difference? If they can find somebody who will pay the same thing, they can find the same kind of job. Then we go back to the first thing, that they only have a complaint. Why a complaint? Like we said, because of the bother, because of the tircha. Depending, according to the Mukhi Yosef, it could be only the balabas can claim tircha in this case, but not the palim. V'yesh emrim, and there's some that say the afilu loy matzu rak melacha keveda mizu rak sharitim lahesif b'scharam tzrichim lahaskir atzm makim acher. So some say that even if they only found like harder work than this, but they want to add in there, and they want to add in how much they get paid. Then what, they have to hire themselves out somewhere else. Not sure what case he's talking about here. Yesh Chelkin, and some argue with this. We'll see. Maybe the Smer, the Shach will explain this better. Let me see if anybody explains this. The Be'er Heitiv explains it a little bit. Okay, let's look at the what do you call the Be'er Heitiv. L'fiyan is daiti efshir the ein mishachelik. The Zel Loshin Talmidei HaRashba, that's the person who I guess that Ramah is saying. Yeah, it says right here. That's Beis Yosef. Beis Yosef b'shem Talmidei HaRashba. It says Be'er Heitiv the Zel im ein reitz meitzel istakir ela b'mlach k'veidim izu im ratza lo yisasik v'neisin schari kepel batel. So that's what we're talking about. Saying like this. What if there's okay, I'm hiring you. I'm hiring you to do painting. And you come and there's no work. and the other work is available next door, but it's not painting. It's like, you know, schlepping rocks. And you're saying, you know what? I don't want to schlep your rock. I don't want to go schlep rocks. That wasn't the kind of work that I agreed to come do. It's not equivalent work. So pay me like a pale bottle. So some say that he's right, Taka, like this is not the kind of work that he was agreeing to do. He wasn't agreeing to do malacha kaveda. So therefore, you have to what's it called? So therefore, you have to pay him like a pale bottle. And some say no. Meaning, according to Hativ, it's even a little more complicated than that. Let's say painting, $10 an hour. Okay, you come, there's no painting work. I say, listen, next door they have also $10 an hour schlepping work. You can say, I don't want schlepping work. I'm going to tell you, either pay me like a pale bottle, or I'll tell you what, I'll go do that $10, what's it called? But you pay me the difference between what I would have agreed to do that work and what they're actually paying for that work. Even though you said $10 an hour, yeah, but it's schlepping. For that, I want $15 an hour. So I'll take their 10 and you give me 5. So some say hitake has meaning we. Some say we assess how hard the work is into this equation. Some say no. Right? And others say, so, meaning, so some say, yeah, you figure that out, and others say the balabas can say, listen, either take that work and I'm putter from you, or sit here like a pale bottle and I'll pay you like a pale bottle, but I'm not paying you the $15 an hour. Your options are either take that job for $10 an hour and I'm free of you, or sit here and I'll pay you $6 an hour and do nothing. And if they cannot find they cannot find work, only for less. So he pays them the difference. Now let's just remember that all of this is when so all of this we're talking about when the balabos was at fault, and he did not tell them about it. He could have, and he didn't, and he should have visited there, and he didn't. Aval im lo yaisa pshias balabais b'davar kalal. Hariza onus v'nifter k'mashin is boyd. So then it goes back to it's not his fault. We go back to that. Agav ayin the kaman simin shin lamed dalitziv basi later 334 subsection 2 melamed shehiskir atzmei lishnei shonim, a teacher who hired himself out for 2 years, v'hisl shana rishayna, and he started the first year, mikri haschala gam l'shana shniya. It's once he started, it's not just called the start for the first year, it's called the start to the whole 2-year contract. V'hu hadin kol payil, and so too is it for any worker. If he hired himself out to you for 3 days, once he shows up, or once he started going, in this case, and the work started for all 3 days. You're already in for all 3 days you agreed on. You can't tell him, oh, you came here, that was for the first day. Smeh. Smeches. Right? So now, right, like the Shushan was trying to imply in the other sif, and the Smeh said, no, it's not Negarmi. What are you talking about? But in this case, that they could have lined up work, that was when they could not have lined up work we were talking about. Or lav dafka could they have lined up work. But in a case where they clearly could have lined up work, then you're chayiv midin degarmi. You indirectly cause them mamish damages. And if they can hire themselves for less, pirush ata niskarim bepachis mimasha niskarim ms v'cheinu batur. The tur says not just that they not just that they can not just for less than you were offering, but if they could have gotten a better job yesterday and now today they're going to go find a job, it's not they can't command the same prices as yesterday. So the Torah says, "Meshalim lahem apeches." They pays the part that's missing, the difference. Ratzaleman mash niskarin hayem pachis me'emes. What how much that they're getting less from taking the job today rather than by taking it yesterday. Meshalim loy lefi erech kepeil batel. So he has to pay them like yesterday's prices. He still has to only pay them like a pale bottle because they're not doing any work. But he has to pay them like yesterday's pale bottle and not like today's pale bottle. Right? And if they went, that we said that if they went, even if they already started going, it's haschalas malacha. So even if they could have found work yesterday, it doesn't make a difference. You're still chayiv to them. Oh, the United States is calling me. Wow. Ken kosav gam ken atur. So too the Torah writes b'shem Aruch v'haisi v'kosav b'shmei is elisheni. V'chein lo yholchu v'ikvam ad she'ein moitzin li'istakir. That so too if they went and he held them back and he delayed them such that they're not able now to find other work. Tzarich litin lahem scharam kepil batlis, to pay them like an idle worker. He when she got on him hefs because he caused them a loss. Ela urcha the milsa nokat, but rather the reason he puts it this way is because he's putting it in the regular, the way that happens the most. The mistama shaloi holcho meitzin listakir. That mistama, like we said before, that if mistama had they not gone, they would have been able to find work. And we shaholcho and meitzim, and now that they went, and now they can't find the kanasheni. Says the Shach, the im niskar bepachis shachtes mashma the imeitzin listaker. So it implies that if they did find work, ein tzarich habalabais l'shalom lehem kepel batel el mishalom lehem apechis. But if they did find work, then he does not pay them even kepel batel, but rather he pays them the difference between the work they found and being a pale bottle. Kein mashma, this is what it's mashma from after that, because it says that if they did find the work, and the Torah writes that he gives them the schar like a idle worker. However, if he tells them go and find a different job, and I will make up the difference. Now, if you look at the wording, the difference between how much I agreed with you in the first place, then he has to do that. He has to give him the difference between that and not the difference between that and pale bottle. Meaning, the worker cannot say, "Oh, you don't have work. I'm not going to go find other work. Why should I go find other work? I'll sit by you and I'll be a pale bottle, and you pay me like a pale bottle. I'm not going to go find work." So he's not allowed to do that. The balabayis is the one who can say, who can tell him, listen, go find work and I'll pay you the difference. Or he can tell him, sit here like a pale bottle and I'll pay like a pale bottle. The Bach writes that no, it's in the hands of the workers. They're the ones who get the choice. That if they don't want to go and find other jobs, they can just demand that he pays them like a pale bottle. And if they don't want to, So he does like a half thing. But if they don't want to miss, if they want to get the full pay, then yaskiru asmi yashlam. Then they can hire themselves out, and he has to pay them, but not like the pill butler. He has to pay them to make up for the whole job since they're not sitting there and being butler. Alafi and yizdaiti kamashikasov. And this is according to my. That it goes. I guess he's like the Bach. Mishalim apeches, they pay the how much is less, the difference. Mash niskor mayin pochus mi emes lefi erech kepel bottle al piskir shlemes. So they say how much they pay the difference. They're paying the difference of how much they could have yesterday been a pale bottle to what they could have today been a pale bottle. So says the Smeh. V'lo yivanti dvarav, and I don't understand his words. The ma inyan kepel bottle lekan. What does pale bottle have to do to here? The ha kivon sheniskorim bepachis v'aisim melacha tzarich lahashma ala pecha. So we see taka the shach is going according to the Bach here, and he's going holding against the Smeh. That they can't just tell him it doesn't go pale bottle against pale bottle. If they go and take another job, he has to pay them the difference between the job and the original job, not between the job and pale bottle. Why? Because they're actually going and working. Maybe he holds that what the Mechaber writes, that if they get paid less, if they can find a job for less, that if they were able to find somebody who could have, meaning they could have found a job yesterday, but they would not have, but they couldn't have found a job for the same amount. Or but this is not so. That no, you can't, you can't translate the mechaber that way. But rather it is as I said, says the Shach. Okay, so I have to stop here. So we're holding what we're going to continue in base. On the top of the page over here, Reish Chaf Hey, by the Smeh V'hu She'achshov, and the as well as the rest of the. Tomorrow, I should be open in the morning. I might be closer to 10:30, like 10:30 than 10 now.